Let's get comfortable with the uncomfortable. Today on the Prenup Podcast with Courtney Heisen, Realtor at Compass, New York. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Prenup Podcast. Today I have one of my wonderful friends, Courtney, here.
Hi.
Courtney, do you want to introduce yourself?
I am Courtney Heisen.
And she's an incredible realtor.
I just joined Compass actually, and I'm going out on my own and building my new team.
So Court has become a really good friend over the past few years. We connected in New York. I'm trying to remember actually how we met.
Patty.
Yeah, our friend in the art world, Patty. Courtney, let's get into this. So you grew up in New Jersey.
Yes, Princeton.
And you have siblings?
Yes, I am the youngest of four. Yep. And the middle two are twins, Cindy and Greg, like the Brady Bunch. And they're a year and a half older than me. And then my oldest brother, Doug, is 5 years older than me.
And so everyone lives kind of in the same area still, or is everyone spread out?
So it's interesting. So my brother and sister who are the twins. They both live in New Jersey. They live 5 minutes from each other. My brother won't admit that he's very bonded to my sister and he follows her wherever she goes. So she moved to the suburbs and then he moved to the suburbs. And then my oldest brother, Doug, which we'll probably get into later, he actually lives in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And so that's because when my parents got divorced, he went with my father. And so I grew up, it was me and my two other siblings. And then our oldest brother was with my dad.
So born in Princeton, New Jersey, at what age did your parents split up?
When I was 3.
So you were really young.
Yeah.
And your oldest brother was how old?
He was 8, 9.
Okay. So still young to be told to like make a decision between splitting parents. That's kind of wild.
Yeah. And it wasn't really his choice, I would say. I think it was my father is a very manipulative person and controlling. And like from what I can see, looking back on it, he wanted more financial support. So in addition to alimony, you can also get child support. And he guilt tripped my brother. And I think Doug, being the oldest son and feeling a sense of duty and obligation, he went to go live with my dad.
So let's take a few steps back. So you're born in New Jersey. Your parents are together, and your mother, if I remember us talking about this before, was actually the breadwinner in the relationship.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk more about that. I want to know, how did your parents meet?
Yes.
And then, just give me a little bit of the background there.
Yeah. So they met in, I would say, the early 80s. In New York City at a party. They were both going to, as you know, share houses in the Hamptons. There was a cocktail party on the Upper East Side about who you could interview to be a part of the share house, and they were both there. And my dad saw my mom. My mom had just turned 30. And my dad saw my mom and thought that, she was interesting and said, "Can I buy you a cheeseburger?" And they left and they went and had dinner, and that was kind of the beginning of it. And my mom did get into that share house. Actually, my dad did not.
That should have been the sign.
Yes, exactly. And within 3 months, they were engaged.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Just very unlike my mother. Very.
So they get married. At the time of marriage, what were your parents doing work-wise?
My mother, she was working in finance. She was either American Can. She wasn't at Chase Manhattan Bank anymore. She was working in finance. She was the CFO of a small company. And my father, when she met him, he was actually the head of advertising at US News and World Report.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. So they get married, start life in the city, and then when did they move to the burbs?
Yep. So almost immediately, my mom never wanted to move out of New York City. She loved it. She wanted to be on the Upper East Side forever. My father, his parents, my grandparents lived in Pound Ridge in Westchester.
Yeah.
So he convinced her to move to Pound Ridge, and that's what they did.
Of course. I'm going to take you to the burbs.
Yeah,
baby.
exactly.
Classic. Okay. So they move on to Pound Ridge. And then when do they end up in Princeton?
They ended up in Princeton in 1990 when I was 6 weeks old because my mother had just taken a job at Johnson & Johnson where their headquarters were in New Brunswick.
So they make the transition at this time. They have 4 children.
Yes.
And then has she ever talked to you about like kind of when things may have started to fall apart?
I think things started to fall apart before they even got married.
Yeah.
And my mother she grew up Catholic. She actually wanted to be a nun. She didn't believe in divorce.
Wait, what?
Yeah, this is like, she went to Catholic school. She was one of the most hardworking people I've ever met. She literally wanted to be a nun, decided when she was in high school that she actually was going to go to college and that she wanted to have kids and decided not to do that. But that was like a very real consideration.
You're not.
Yes.
Wow.
So she really didn't believe in divorce.
I'm assuming because of that, they did not have a prenup.
Yes. And she wouldn't have divorced my father if it wasn't for us kids.
So she really wanted to protect you guys from the chaos and the madness and
Yes. Yes. So for preface, my father was a horrible alcoholic and he couldn't get sober. She sent him to rehab 3 times and she tried her hardest to make it work. And when she realized that he was driving us around drunk and she was scared that he was going to kill us, that's when she decided that she had to get a divorce, even though it was against every principle that she had.
but she needed to get out.
Yeah. And she needed to get out for herself as well.
It was so hard.
Yeah.
So 8-year-old and twins who were how old at that time?
If I was 3, they would have been like 4.5, 5.
And then you were 3. That is a lot of responsibility for a solo mother.
Yes.
So how long did their divorce take?
Oh, that's a really good question. It was definitely drawn out. I think I would say maybe like 1 or 2 years.
Okay.
And it was, being a child, obviously never really knew the ins and outs of it.
At the time, you don't, right?
But I remember things like one day, almost all of our furniture was gone in the house and my dad had taken it to his new home. And it was like, I remember one day I was sitting on the kitchen counter and there were all of these men in the house, like grabbing things, furniture, moving things out. And I just remember my mom saying, I'm getting a divorce. And I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, because you were so young.
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting how some of these memories stick?
Yeah.
Like these really just one-offs that are the things that you go back to.
Yeah. It's like when I think of my childhood and think of pivotal moments, I think of learning what alcoholism was and I think of learning what divorce was. And I remember growing up and my mom always saying after the divorce, always say, don't marry the first person that proposes to you. Whatever you do, don't marry the first person that proposes.
Oh man, your poor mom.
Yeah.
Also though, like, your dad with this alcoholism, it's not easy. Okay. So parents split up. Do you then go on to have a relationship with your dad?
Yes, I did, because the part of the divorce settlement was that we had to go see my father once a month.
Okay.
Where he would pick us up. And that was just brutal, but because he would not really take care of us. But my mom, I really respect her because her father died when she was 9 years old. So she never grew up with a father. And she, even though all the flaws that my father had, she wanted us to have a relationship and she wanted us to feel like we had a dad. And she let me arrive at where I wanted to, when I wanted to. So when I was 16, that's when I decided that I really didn't want a relationship with my father. And while I would still talk to him, I did everything I could to make sure that I would never go visit him.
Keep him at a distance.
Yeah.
That's really hard.
Yeah. And it wasn't until he was on his deathbed that I held his hand and told him that I forgave him for everything that he had done to me and my family.
How did he pass away?
Of alcoholism, cirrhosis of the liver, when I was 23.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So that must have been really hard for you. And at the time, were you in a relationship with someone?
No, I was not actually. At the time, I was single. I then started dating someone about 4 months after, and I would go on to be proposed to be engaged to that person.
Really?
Yeah.
So how did you and this person meet?
We met at, I used to, before I went into real estate, I used to work in the art world, and we met on the roof at Soho House. And
Very New York moment.
yeah, he was senior in the art world and I was just starting out. And we first started off as friends, and we were friends for, he helped me get like my first internship, and we started off as friends for about 3 or 4 years. And then it just, when I graduated college and started working, it just kind of pivoted.
So pivoted into a relationship. How long were you guys together before he proposed?
We were together for 5 years before he proposed.
Wow. Did you live together ever? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
We did. We lived together, and we had moved together, which I always think is like a really interesting thing for anyone that's like thinking about marrying someone, is like move in with them, but don't move into like their apartment, or don't have them move into yours. Like actually both of you move into a new space and see how you can like divide and conquer. Like that was a very pivotal moment for me, because I moved into his apartment, and then we bought an apartment and we moved into it together. And then all of a sudden, like you kind of realize the cracks in a relationship of like power dynamics.
Okay, let's get into this more.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this. Like, what were some of the things that...
Like, we couldn't arrive on a paint color. I wanted everything to be neutral and light, and he wanted color. And we couldn't, like, agree. It was just like, we couldn't work through those things. And I do remember saying to him, I was like, if we can't even agree on this, how are we going to agree, like, what school our kids are going to go to?
Was he older than you?
Yes.
How much older?
20 years older than me.
And had he been married or engaged before?
He had been married before.
How long had you been divorced before you guys?
Oh, gosh. I want to say at least 10 years.
Yeah. Okay. So he had tried the whole, living with someone, getting married one time around. And that's interesting that second time around, he wasn't as like, let's figure this out together. Let's bend for each other.
Yeah. But the really interesting thing is that we didn't end up getting married. We called off the engagement, and there was nothing malicious about it. And we're still, to this day, incredibly good friends.
That's amazing.
And he's actually married. He remarried. And I was texting with him and his wife last night. It does make me feel like even though someone's not your person, it doesn't mean that they're not someone else's.
Totally.
And I'm so incredibly happy for him and his wife.
And they agreed on paint colors.
Yeah, exactly. And they have it's like really nice to see that they have a beautiful life together. And it's really awesome to see like that we can have this kind of like modern family.
It's honestly, it's a respect thing, right?
Yeah.
I was just talking to someone who was like, you can tell a lot about a person based on how they talk about their ex.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, some bad things do happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no short story. There's no shortage of like really bad exes, but it is pretty incredible, when people can stay friends and or cordial or even genuine friends with someone that they share so much of their life with.
Right? It's like, it's such a weird concept to think that you were so intimate with someone and shared so much. Like Charlie was there for so much of my life and some really pivotal moments. Like the idea of like never speaking to this person again just feels like, whoa. It doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. I mean, my ex-boyfriend doesn't speak to me. But, I understand for his reasons.
Yeah.
And there are people that are in my life that I probably won't have it won't be as much of a prevalent relationship post, if that makes sense.
Totally. It's all about how it ends.
Yeah.
It sounds like
and if you can be like a respectful and honorable person.
Yeah.
Like what was nice about, not nice, but what was yeah, I guess it was nice with Charlie is that it didn't end because one of us cheated. It didn't end because one of us was a coward and like couldn't say the hard thing. It ended because I knew that if we had gotten married, I would be 35 years old and divorced because just wasn't working. And I remember we were so funny when we called it off. We basically like consciously uncoupled and we were in Goop and we were buying like glasses. Well, I was buying water glasses because he was going to take them and for his new apartment, the ones that we had. And this sales associate comes up to him and is like, can I help you guys? Are you like looking for a register? And we're like, no, we just called off our engagement. And like look at this guy's face. And we're like, what? It's very Goop. It's very what if. He was like, what? You guys are wrong with
He was literally like, you took the brand too seriously.
Yeah, literally. Too seriously. But yeah, no, with Charlie, I think it says a lot. Like if you can do the hard thing, then
The hard conversations.
yeah.
That's amazing. Okay. So you guys break up and then do you take some time just reflect or do you get into another relationship or kind of how does it look after your breakup?
Yeah, I'm not a jumper of like, I just learned the term lily padding and that is not what I do.
I know this term. What is that? What?
Oh, lily padding. It's when you're in a relationship with someone and you're getting like, you're unhappy and you're thinking about leaving and then you meet someone else and you kind of start dating them and then you lily pad, you leap from one relationship to the other.
Well, that sounds like New York 2025.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
and
God.
that's like
A lot of people we know.
yeah.
Interested. Okay.
So I'm not a lily padder. I'm like a weirdly one-track mind person. Like, you know, even when I'm single and people say, you know, you need to like start dating and dating around and don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like I don't have the capacity to not date one person, which for better or for worse.
That's great though, because if you know that that's how you are,
Yeah.
you can show up for yourself and for that person in the way you need to.
Yeah. Like I just like, I don't know if it's like I'm just really bad at multitasking, but like I also like who has time to date multiple people?
Not you, especially with your career.
Yeah. Like I'm like, oh my God, I have like one night a week reserved for a date, you know? Like
they fit in.
yeah. Like I don't know. I have this thing where I'm not saying that I'm like holier than thou because I'm definitely not. But I kind of in a weird way, like maybe envy people that can like not so like emotionally attached to people that they're dating.
Do you feel that? Okay, well, let me ask a question. Did your mom ever get remarried?
Yes, she did. So after the divorce, which almost ruined her financially, like my dad.
Tell me more about that.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, they got divorced in 1992, 1993. It still wasn't very favorable for women. And so.
I'm laughing because that's when my parents like.
Oh, really?
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild times.
So my dad, they told part of the divorce settlement was that my mom had to pay alimony until my father died. And the reason for that was even though they were only married for, I think, 7 or 8 years, was because my dad kept saying that, you know, part of his defense was that he was an alcoholic and he was sick and he was going to die. And so the judge said, your husband's going to die in 5 years. So just pay his alimony until he dies. He lived for 20 more years. The guy is an ox.
That's wild.
So she was married for, 8 years and paid alimony for 20. He took 60% of her pension that she got from Johnson & Johnson. He basically, and then she had to give him all of this and then support 4 kids.
Oh my God, your mom is a saint.
I know. And you know what I think is the most amazing thing about her is that when he was dying, she would drive 6 hours round trip, 3 days a week. And she would take care of him in the hospital and hold his hand because he had no one left in his life.
I mean, that's the nun in her.
Yeah, like, truly.
Wow. So he never remarried.
No. Hell no. He never remarried. He sat in his office.
Oh my gosh.
Until, yeah.
Okay. And so your mom did remarry though.
She did. She remarried. And so obviously my mom never thought she was going to get divorced, so she never got a prenup. So she got, and I find what is so interesting about that, because it's like my mom's life, when I look at it, has this dichotomy of she is one of the most successful businesswomen I've ever seen. And she has paved the way. And she's my greatest role model. And I think an amazing role model for so many people. And to see her be so buttoned up in her professional life, but then in regards to her first marriage, be so unbuttoned up.
Yeah.
And to go into it without a prenup. But also you have to know, like, at the time, people didn't really have prenups, but still.
But it is really interesting to me. It's something that I've talked about recently with a few people. Is like how some people can be so vulnerable in their personal life, but be such badasses in their careers.
Yeah.
And sometimes finding that balance of the two is really hard.
Yeah.
And that it all comes back to communication.
Yeah.
And how you address problems.
Yeah. Completely.
Okay. So, wow. So she didn't have a prenup, horrible divorce.
Yeah.
Ends up spending a ton of money basically on your father.
Yeah.
Dies.
Yeah.
And then she was like, you know, I'm still open to love. I'm still open to marriage. And she does it a second time.
Yeah. And I don't even think that she was really like open at the time. I think it just like it fell in her lap. And I don't subscribe to the idea of soulmates anymore. I think that I'm like more of a Jillian Turecki, like you choose the person that you want to be with based on values. And that is something that has only in the past 6 months has been a viewpoint that has changed for me. But she ended up remarrying, and she married my stepdad, who she was married to for 20 years. And until he passed away in 2017. And they reconnected because they actually went to graduate school together. They went to NYU night school, and they were both working at Chase Manhattan Bank in 1973.
Oh my God.
When they graduated from college. And they used to, during the school, like during the break, between the 3-hour class, they would go to a diner, and he would have a slice of pie and she would have a cup of tea. And
so cute.
I know, right? And then one day he came to class and he said, Joanne, that's my mom's name. I'm actually being transferred to Saudi Arabia. So I'm not going to finish my NYU MBA program. And she was like, okay, bye.
And he was like, so Saudi Arabia, what do you think?
And that was it.
Oh my God.
And then 1996, my mother was named the first female to be appointed to the executive committee and to be a C-level executive at Johnson & Johnson and like the company's 120-year history.
Wow.
And it obviously made headlines. I think it was in the Wall Street Journal. And my stepdad saw her and saw her name and was like, holy
That's totally curious. Because that is a holy
yeah, I know her. And so he called, this is so cute, he called J&J's headquarters, the lobby, and was like, hi, I'm David Leningrand. Can you connect me to Joanne Heisen? And the woman on the other line was like, she was like, yeah, no. Like, we don't just connect people that call to our executives. And he was like, oh, right, okay. Can you leave a message? And she's like, yeah, sure. And he said, can you tell Joanne that David Lenahan called from her NYU night class in Chase Manhattan Bank in 1973? And my mom called him back within 5 minutes. I know. And they ended up meeting and in the city, and they both talked about how they had kids. This is so interesting. Neither of them told the other that they were divorced. They both had kind of assumed that they were both still married. And they talked about their kids and everything. And my mom left. They had drinks at the Four Seasons restaurant in Seagram Building.
Wow.
And then the next day, my mom went back to Princeton, and she said, as she told me this story, she said, I'm a good Catholic woman. I'm a good Catholic woman. He's married. He has kids. I can't do this. And then he called her again and asked her out. And she said, yes. But she did say, I just want to let you know something, like, I'm divorced. And he said, I am too.
Amazing.
And that was that. They were engaged within like 8 months.
And then they were together.
Yeah.
And so he was really involved in your life growing up?
Oh my gosh. My friends growing up didn't know that he was my stepdad. They thought he was my biological father because he never called me or my siblings his stepchildren.
I'm gonna cry.
I know.
I should have tissues for this.
I know.
That's so sweet.
He was, now I'm going to cry. He was an amazing person.
Oh my God, now I have to get tissues.
He passed away when I was 27.
They
had a beautiful marriage, and they were married for 20 years before he passed away suddenly in 2017.
oof. That's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
And so your mom now
Mm-hmm.
lives where?
She lives in Longboat Key, Florida,
Okay.
and she has a partner. They've been seeing each other. She spent about 5 years on her own. She spent COVID on her own, and she found a wonderful partner who she likes very much and loves. And he also is widowed, and, they have a beautiful relationship.
As my grandmother used to say, my grandparents were married until my grandfather died. They had got married very young. Must have been like 50 some years married.
Mm-hmm.
And she was really lucky to have a second love in life.
Yeah.
And she would call him her walker friend. She was like, we just go for walks.
Oh my God.
Go for
Yes.
dinners.
Yes, because it's like you can't really say companion.
Yeah, you're like in your 70s, you're not gonna be like, it's my boyfriend. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
But it was really sweet because it was companionship.
Yeah, it is. And I think what I really like about their relationship is that both of them have gone into it knowing that they're not going to replace the marriages. Yeah.
With someone else. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great that she has that.
I know. I'm very happy that she does. And his family loves her, and they live in Longboat Key as well. They're in Bradenton, actually, about 20 minutes. And, it makes me happy that she has, another family.
It's a community.
Yeah.
And it's a group to love her.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Because you guys are all still up here, right?
Yeah. We're all up here.
Right.
So I don't really get to see her that much.
Oh, maybe we'll have to go
Yeah.
as long as Key has a new hotel.
Oh, it does. And she's right next to it.
We got it.
So
let's go.
yeah.
That's great. Okay. So okay. Now we're going to track back. So you're engaged the first time, you break up, and then did your stepfather die while you were with your first fiance, or was it after?
He did. He died while I was with my first fiance. He passed away. And this is also going back to like the marriage thing. I'm hesitant to even say that maybe we would have never gotten engaged if he hadn't passed away. When my stepdad died, it was very suddenly, passed away in his sleep 2 days after Christmas, and which is probably like the best way anyone could go.
Yeah.
So while it sucks for me and my family, it was great for him. And it was such a chaotic moment in life that my mom was distraught. I was distraught. My stepdad was my best friend. He was the only, like, my greatest confidant. And I just kind of was like, you're kind of like left when someone dies that quickly and suddenly like shell shocked. And it is a form of PTSD.
Totally.
And trauma around that. And it was kind of like, okay, I wasn't totally happy in the relationship. I didn't feel like we were totally connecting, but it wasn't bad. And it was like, what can I do right now that would bring
Joy.
Yeah. And I was like, we can get married.
Yeah.
And I think Charlie felt the same way as well, because his mother was also not doing well. And his mother, wow, it's like such a weird time. His mother passed away, 4 months after my stepdad did.
Oh my God. So you guys were both in like grief space.
Yeah. And so it was like this, I needed joy. He needed joy. My mom needed joy. And it felt like more like an obligation than an excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. This makes so much sense now.
Yeah.
Wow. That's heavy.
Yeah.
After my dad died, one of my girlfriends sent me this book called The Year of Magical Thinking. Have you ever read that by Joan Didion?
No.
I'm gonna have to send it to you. It's one of these, it's really interesting because it's like you pretty much for a year, you're like, oh, they're going to walk back through the door. Like, I'm going to see them in XYZ, you know, or they're not actually gone. This is just kind of like,
Oh my God.
like a false state.
Yeah.
And then when it hits you, you're like, wait, what? And a lot of the things that you do throughout that time are just kind of these larger band-aids.
Completely.
And then once you actually accept it, you're like, what?
I had these really up dreams when my stepdad died that in the dream, he was still alive, but he kept dying in a car accident. And I would wake up and for 2 seconds, I'd be like, oh my God, I died in a car accident, but it's just a dream. It's just a dream. And then I'd realize, no, he was actually gone. And then it would like be like that, like weird. It was awful. I had that dream like 6 times, like once a month for 6 months after he died. And it was like this, like you had like this hope for a split second that that person hasn't left.
All of it.
Yeah. But actually, and also talking about like prenups and things like that, my mom and my stepdad had a prenup, very tight. Obviously, they didn't need to use it. And they kept their finances so separate that when he passed away, my mom had no idea any of his passwords. She had no idea any of his brokerage accounts. She had no idea where anything was. They never had a joint bank account. Everything was separate.
This wasn't all in a will somewhere for her to.
My stepdad did not update his will since 1998. So like the fact, I find that so interesting that like she went from like totally commingled with someone to completely separate.
But in a way, that's probably like a PTSD response, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, this went XYZ way. I'm going to go the opposite direction this time.
Yeah. And I think it's also just a testament to their love that nothing about their marriage was about
finances,
anything financial. It was truly, they just loved each other.
But they also, were able to do that because they'd got into a position where they could.
Yeah.
Because they were both successful.
Yeah. Totally.
Wow. Okay. That's wild. I can't believe he didn't update his will.
Yeah. And he wrote several drafts too and forgot to sign and never signed them.
I'm always like, the prenup is just the first family legal conversation you have. Then it's trust, then it's wills.
Yeah.
Like, in the moment you have children or you get married again, change it.
When you're like, are you dating right now?
I kind of, yeah.
When you go on dates and you tell someone like, oh, I have this company, it's called Prenup, I'm doing this podcast, it's called Prenup. Is everyone just like, let me tell you?
It's really funny because I think it scares you're one or the other.
Yeah.
You find out and you're like, oh my God, let me run away from this chick so quick.
Yeah.
Like this, what? Why are you doing this? And actually, I don't want to know why you're doing it. I just don't want to be involved.
Yeah.
So that's like one camp. And the other camp is, let me tell you my story or let me tell you my friend's story. Oh my gosh, tell me more.
Yeah.
It's like either very uninterested.
Yeah.
To a point of go away.
Yeah.
To really interested. And that's been really telling, I think, because it has become such a big part of my life.
Yeah.
And usually if the date isn't going to end in anything more than just like a drink or a dinner.
Yeah.
My goal is always by the end of the date that whoever I'm out with is like, Houston's like, oh, I'm going to go get a prenup no matter who I end up with.
When you were growing up and your parents got divorced around the same time as my parents did. I mean, I grew up since I can even remember my mom talking about marriage that like, yeah, you get a prenup. Like it was like, before we started filming, I asked you like, because you always say like people stop you on the street and some people are offended to see prenup.
I think it's like a toxic triggering word.
And I'm like, I don't know. I think of it as like getting a driver's license. Like, it's just like, you have to, that's what you do. Like,
it should just be part of the marriage process.
Yeah. Like
it shouldn't be a sticky taboo. Like there's a few people I've asked to be on the pod and they're like, I'd love to, but actually in our prenup, we signed a clause where we can't talk about our prenup. And I'm just like,
you're like, well, I'm not asking you to read it line for line.
Also, at the end of the day, like I had a sign of not disparagement last year and it at the time I was like, yeah, of course I'll sign it. And then a few months later I was like, why did I sign that? I gave up my I gave up my voice.
Yeah.
I gave up part of my story
Yeah.
to protect someone else.
Yeah.
It's like at the end of the day, none of this stuff should be negative. It is a positive thing. And if it goes negative, then it's usually on the emotions involved, not on the actual details.
I know. I struggle with that as well. It's very difficult. It's a very fine line to walk when you start talking about things, particularly in relationships. And like, if somebody has wronged you, and at what point do I speak the truth and say what actually happened but like at what cost? And like, when is it, even if somebody like, I do try to always take the high road. Like, how do you protect someone else's privacy? Like, even with this, like, I kind of feel like, oh, how's my ex-fiance going to feel if he listens to this?
But listen, everything you said has been real and it's been wonderful. And like, there's no disparagement really.
Yeah.
This is the thing. It's like, everyone's story is their story. Mm-hmm. Your partner has a story too. Mm-hmm. You're the only one on the pod today, but like, I can have them on, you know? Like,
you can have all three of us on. Yeah. I mean, honestly, Charlie is like, my ex-fiance is just like, such a, like, I feel like I won the lottery on ex-fiancés.
And you know what, in a way though, like what a blessing it was that you guys had each other in this time of grief, because it's a hard time to be at.
And we'll always have that. Yeah. Like, I'll always, that's going to make, like, I'll always know how he showed up for me.
Yeah.
Because he did it in a really big way.
And that's important. And like, people can do dumb but I do think that there's something to be said about, you know, this, my ex, when my dad died, was there for me. And we were not right for each other.
Yeah.
But he was who I needed at the time.
Yeah.
And I'll, like, for however we broke up, for whatever reasons, I will always be grateful for how he showed up when my dad died, because you don't even know what you need at that point. And then you have someone who's like, I'm gonna fill in the gaps right now.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be your life vest. Like, really, it's a blessing.
Yeah, totally. And it's also just one of those beautiful things where you realize like people are meant to be in your life in different capacities, and whether or not it's just like
a reason or a season.
Yeah. Okay. And he was also for circling back on prenups, he had no problem signing a prenup either. Like, we never got to that point in the engagement, but I remember he was like, yeah, of course.
Have you, I mean, like our age, right? In the city, we have a lot of friends, I think right now, who are going through changes in life, career, love, all of it. If you, any friends that had some not great situations or some great situations with prenups, like, do you know, or is there anyone you could think of? No names, but like people who had like successful marriages who signed a prenup and you're like, wow, that's a couple that actually I really respect and admire? Or are there people you've seen get divorced who didn't have a prenup and you're like, damn, I wish they had?
I have
lots of the second.
Yeah, I was gonna say not so much of the first, and not that like my friends. I have friends that have amazing marriages. I'm actually thinking of quite a few, and I think that they all have prenups. I've never really asked them, but you don't really know. Like, it's not like that topic of conversation that comes up when things are going well. It's kind of when things are going. I have seen someone get divorced without a prenup. Actually, two people get divorced without a prenup, and you're just like, oh God, that just like, you just got raked.
Kids or no kids involved?
Both no kids.
And still just long marriages or short marriages?
Both, I would say short. I think under 5 years is a short marriage.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And I think that like, you're like, and also when there's no kids involved, it's like, this is a breakup. Like, just figure it out.
That's
like, seriously, like, figure it out.
God, yeah. Yeah, it is just a breakup. Like, why should anybody supporting, like,
Like, and also, why are you gonna like draw this out for like a year if you're like, I don't know.
If you want to date again, like, don't you want to go and like be free and find your next chapter?
Some people, their identity is their misery. Some people don't know anything other than being a victim and feeling sorry for themselves and saying all this bad things have happened to me, and this is like the hill that I'm going to die on. And it's really sad. And it's really sad when you see people like do that arc of like, they started as a victim and they might have then become that grateful person who's like a beacon of light. And then you see them go through a divorce without a prenup and they're just miserable. And you're like, oh man, like,
you lose your shine through it all.
Yeah.
You're just like defeated at the end.
yeah. And you're just like, what's left?
Yeah.
Just filling that God-sized hole.
Oh gosh. Well, I hope both those friends end up getting out in some way, shape, or form and are able to move on and find
I do too.
love.
I do too. I really do too. And I hope that they will.
Do you talk to your girlfriends about like prenups, finances, all that stuff, or not really? Or is it just me shouting from the rooftops when we all go out?
It's not that I wouldn't ever talk to my friends about finances or prenups. It's that I feel like the things that I'm talking about right now are not like finances in the sense of like what we want to achieve in our careers.
Yeah.
You know, more so than like I have X amount of dollars in my bank account and how am I going to plan? Like who's your
Financial
like
advisor.
exactly. Like it's more about what are my goals in life career wise. I want to make, a ton of money and I want to do it on my own.
I think if you're grown up understanding money, knowing money, and being able to talk about it, especially with your mind, like that's such a blessing.
Yeah. And also that's what I think about with prenups. It's just a safeguard in place. The same way that if you have a trust fund and you have trustees and you're the beneficiary, like there should be checks and balances with everything, including a marriage. And I just think if you don't want to have a conversation with someone before you get married, when you're supposed to be the most in love you've ever been about what would happen if this dissolved, why do you think you want to have that discussion with them when everything is going to
Totally agree. Totally agree. 100%.
I know. And I love that delusion that people have that I remember talking to someone who then got a divorce, who was like, my wife and I, we never got a prenup. We decided that if we were ever going to get divorced, what's mine is mine, what's hers is hers. And boy, did it not go that way.
But that is the thing. It's like, of course, when you're going to get married, why would you ever get married if you thought that you were going to get divorced, right? Like
don't actually ding, 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 me. And my mother was the one that stopped it.
Thank God.
So that was how I ended up calling off my engagement. Was my mom was like, why haven't you sent out the invitations yet? And I was like, well, like I kept avoiding, like we had already sent out save the dates, but the invites hadn't gone out yet. And I had them. They were sitting all stamped, ready to go. And she was like, what's going on? And I was like, do you ever get cold feet? She's like, okay, talk to me. And I was like, yeah, I just feel like, I'm 29. I could probably, and in my head I did, in my delusion, I justified this. I was like, I could be married for 5 years and I could get a divorce and there'll be a prenup. And I kind of said that to my mom. I was like, yeah, well, we'll sign a prenup and then I'll get divorced. She goes, absolutely not.
Oh no.
She was like, are you kidding me? She's like, I would rather lose the deposit on the venue, say sunk costs on that wedding dress, which by the way, I still have. And it's at this guy's apartment, which is even more random.
No.
It's the story for another time. And she was like, yeah, we're going to lose this money now because we're not going to go through a fucking divorce.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So now I'm 35, never been married instead of 35 and divorced.
Same girl, same. Oh my gosh. I love this. I could talk all day with you.
I know.
So with every pod, at the end of the pod, I have someone pick Vessels and Muses card.
Oh.
This is like one of my favorite little party tricks for my friend who you actually have to meet. Zoe, she's an incredible artist. They're kind of like tarot cards. They're just,
oh my God, give me something good. Please.
oh, maybe two.
Oh, my two. I have two.
Okay.
I have decision and medicine.
Okay, let's go. Let's see. Okay, decision and medicine. So let's do both. Okay. So, decision. It's time to choose. This card reveals itself at times of indecision. Even the smallest failure to choose takes up space in your journal, inbox, or mind. While making a decision closes off alternative paths and may feel scary, choosing allows us to move forward and rewards our trust in the universe. What if there was no wrong answer? How would you play with your life? Choose today, and when you do, watch what opens up for you. Seek solid support and advice where needed, but take your next unfolding seriously. Now it's time to make your move. Also, everyone, if you need to buy a wonderful apartment in New York or the Hudson Valley, this is your girl.
Yes.
She actually helped me when I, in my chaotic state during right before my breakup, I was like, I'm going to buy a house.
We submitted an offer on a house in Connecticut.
And thank God somebody else. No, I was so
There
upset.
were so many offers on that. Do you remember when all cash $300,000 above that?
Yeah, I remember because I was like, well.
And when I say 300,000, I mean like 30% above that.
It was crazy, but
and it was, remember, it was falling down. There was insulation coming out of the side of the house and they waived an inspection.
The person waived an inspection. It was
and it was on the floodplain.
Yeah, it was on the flood. That actually, listen, everything happened for a reason.
Everything happened for a reason.
Yes. Thank God that did not work out in my favor.
Make sure you have
But Court was amazing. I was like, can I even afford this? Thank God for Court. Okay. I'm so excited for you and your next journey.
Thank you.
I can't wait till one day you get married and I can help you with your
Oh my God. Done, and done.
Come here. This is so